My full name at birth is Domenico De Filippis, but I'm known as Farmer Dom here on this farm. Basically, I own this operation, and what do I do on the farm? First of all, I overlook my managers, which are my kids, and making sure everything is running smooth. I overlook all the fields, all the planting, the whole operation, in other words, and I do all the prep work for the fields. I also get the seed line going. In other words, when we do the seeding in the greenhouses to prepare our plants, that's my main priority jobs. My father, Vito De Filippis, he originally started in 1960. We moved here in 1963, bought this place. That's all he could afford at the time.
Can you tell me a little bit about your father, if you're comfortable?
My father was a very hardworking entrepreneur, you might call him. The reason being, he got himself whatever he could do to make money when he came to this country. He landed in Nova Scotia in the 50s. He was about 16, 17 years of age. He was looking for a future. Back in the day in Italy, it was tough. They were all being drafted for the war. He chose not to do that and to get away from the war, so he came here. He got in pretty easy because my grandfather was working in the United States on laying railroad, and then eventually got even a job at Kraft Cheese. When I talked to him, he says, man, that was a real good job when I finally got in, because the railroad was a tough work. They were laying track. And that's how my father got an easy entry into Canada. In Nova Scotia, he landed there and basically got a job there on the farm. You know, a potato farm at that time, paid $5 a week and room and board. And I'll tell you, it wasn't like the room and board today. It was living in a barn. Their bed was a wooden bunk, and the straw was their bedding. So I think he had a pretty tough life to get here, but he got us here.
Did you grow up immersed in agriculture, or was it something that came later?
I grew up pretty well immersed in agriculture. I was always next to my dad, always working with him. I was his right hand, holding his hand. Even though I was in diapers, I was still in the fields. We never had daycare back in the day. When they were harvesting beans or harvesting anything, the family would be out working. My crib would be out between 2 rows of staked beans so that I could get some shade, and I'd be napping in there. So I've been involved in agriculture, if you want to call it that way, even though I wasn't doing the picking, but I was actually involved in watching and learning.
Can you paint me a picture of a younger you?
Yeah, what kind of a person I was, a very aggressive person. I like to get in all kinds of stuff. I loved mechanics. When I was about 8 or 9 years old, when my dad was snapping in the middle of the day, I would go take apart all his old trucks and stuff, and couldn't figure out how to put them back, but I get in trouble for it. But at the end of the day, I loved taking them apart. I just thought that was just amazing, that I could see how engines worked and this and that. So, and then I moved on as I grew up. I always was involved with the agriculture, but I took auto mechanics in school. I became a licensed auto mechanic. Matter of fact, I got a interprovincial license, so I did pretty well for that. I worked in the trade for a while, but it was hard to get in and start a business in that trade. And back in the, talking about 45, 50 years ago, it wasn't easy to start a business. Produce, my dad was always involved with some kind of produce, so I was always helping him out and selling stuff sometimes door to door, trying to make a few dollars, especially when first years I got married. I was still doing mechanics, but I was selling door to door. So selling produce was always something in my blood, I think. And then I gave up mechanics because I was finding I could make a better living selling produce. So I got involved in that, and you know what? I did very well. I got into the flea markets at the time. Those were a big thing. And you know what? We were selling in the markets. I was buying and selling, and my dad was growing some of the stuff, and so we were doing very, very well. I did great. You know what? I always wanted to be in business. I opened up a retail store. I went into retail. Was that a good thing? I don't know. I opened up a fruit market in Richmond Hill area. It did well, but this is very hard what we do now, but that was more sacrifice. That was a 7-day-a-week job, 12 months of the year. And you know what? Really, it was 4 walls all the time. The only time I'd go out to purchase some products so I could bring them back to my store. It was a tough job, believe it or not. Anybody that's in these retail businesses, serving the clients or serving customers or serving the public, it's tough. And you know what? It was in the main recession, in the big recession in the 80s. I couldn't find a job. With all my credentials, I couldn't find a job pumping gas. I was willing to do anything to support my family because I had sold my business for a loss, and I couldn't find a job. They told me I was overqualified to pump gas. So they wouldn't give me the job. So I started farming. I started cleaning up my dad's, what he left behind. He left down 2 broken tractors. Because I had the trade of mechanics, I fixed them up and started with those 2 broken tractors. And today we farm over 900 acres of produce, and we probably own about 35 or 40 tractors. I think I've lost count. So.
Could you describe your first few years working on the farm when it became your farm?
The first few years working on the farm when I started on my own was tough. I was working a good 17, 18 hours a day just to get things started, and we lost a ton of money. Even though we thought we knew a lot by working with our parents, but I'm going to tell you there was a lot more involved. As time went on, technology progressed, and we had to get with the times in order for us to succeed. And it was tough. The first couple of years, I probably lost more than my shirt, but I never gave up. I worked winters plowing snow and shoveling snow, whatever I could do to support my family so that I could keep this business going, because I knew it was going to take a while for it to be right the way I wanted it.
So what have you learned throughout your years on the farm, starting from like as a child to now?
Wow, what I've learned from a child to now. I gotta tell you, I've learned that, first of all, I love farming. At least, I mean, do I have to learn that? Of course you have to learn it, and you have to like it and love it. But I've learned never give up, really, on what you want to do. And was this a dream? It probably wasn't at the beginning. This is a type of business that if you give up, you lose everything. So you keep going, and hopefully, luck has got to be on your side too. We've been pretty lucky, whether it's been with weather or whether it's been with my family, to support everything we do. So that's all I can say, that you got to never give up.
How does it feel now that you're working with your family on your own farm?
Feels very good working with my family. That's the only way we could have made progress in this business, because as you get older and you are a one-man operation, it's not easy to expand with today's times. The technology's there today. Not only that, the computers today, government regulations have to keep a certain amount of paperwork, and it's not easy. I'm not a paperwork guy. I'm not an office guy. I'm a guy that put me in the field and I'll give you everything you want. So for that aspect, it's been fantastic, and it's great that they can handle. And we've grown because of that. We've been able to grow because we can manage. We know what our numbers are. We know what our books. We know exactly what we spent on everything we've done. And it's nice to look at that at the end of the year and know where your strengths are and where your weaknesses are. And that's how we proceed the following year.
What's the most difficult part of your job?
The most difficult part of my job is basically getting old. So as much as you think it's funny, but it's not. As you get older, I'm still doing a lot of the physical work. I'm still out there 15, 16, and sometimes 18 hours a day, just depending on the day. Do I feel it at the end of the day? Definitely, I feel it. I didn't feel it 25 years ago, I'm going to tell you, but it's really catching up to me. But I still do it. That's one thing I don't give up. So the most difficult job is keeping healthy and staying healthy. So I've changed my ways. I've lost a lot of weight in the last 10 years so that I can keep up with our workers, because as an owner, you have to stay in front of your workers, never behind. And if they see that the owner's out there going out and working and hard, they're going to follow you, and they're going to proceed, and they're going to respect you more, because they're going to say, the owner's out there, so you know what? They're going to try really hard for you to do their best.
What's the most rewarding part of your job?
The most rewarding part of my job is having my family here together, and I have 8 grandchildren. And I mean, that is really what the best rewards in life can give you. They're hanging out with us a little bit on the yard. We're keeping a bit of a distance. But yeah, that's the biggest reward I believe in any business, in any life. With your family, the family, it's fantastic. It's great. I'm very proud of what I've achieved. It was a struggle when I started this farming business. I mean, any business is. I had to finance everything that I had left and owned, and I put it on the line. It was tough for my family. It was tough for them. But they stuck with me, and we pulled through together. They were out in the fields even after school. They would do whatever they can. My wife supported me. She even drove the tractors, and she planted before I could get any decent help. It was hard to get help, and it's still hard to get help. We have to bring migrant workers in order to proceed with this business, because it's hard to get help here that's going to be loyal and dependable when the crops are there, to go out there, not only to plant it, but to harvest it, weed it. There's so much work to be done, and my family stuck with me, and I'm very proud that we've gotten to a stage where we're all still together and we're succeeding. The business has succeeded and done very well for itself, and you can see that as we've expanded quite well. I mean, I'm getting to a page where I want to retire soon. That's one of my goals going forward. But I still want to be part of the business. My goal is that I hope my kids take the next step and, go keep on going here. So hopefully I've done my work here and they've listened to pretty well everything I've said, hopefully everything I've said. And they're going to proceed because you know what? Sometimes we have our discussions and sometimes arguments, but that's just life between your kids and father. It's just normal that the next generation is always going to argue with the older generation. I know I did it with my father, but I learned a lot from him and I never forgot what he taught me, but I had to move on and learn more as times progress. And I'm pretty sure that what they know and what they've done with me, that they're going to do the same thing moving forward and keep this business growing and doing better.
What makes you have that drive to still come back to work every day?
Wow. The drive is, first of all, when you're in charge of the business, I'm still in charge and I'm still the owner. I'm responsible for everybody and everything. And I take full responsibility. My kids are managers. They're great and they take responsibility for all their work and all their divisions or whatever departments they're running. But I am still in charge, so I take responsibility for all my workers, making sure that first of all, as of right now that we have this pandemic going on, that they're staying safe. We've implemented how to keep them safe. They're not leaving the farm. We're shopping for them. We brought extra people in. So that's my goal, is making sure that this place runs safe and smooth. And that's my biggest reason why I get up in the morning, to make sure that these guys stay safe and we proceed forward. And I also overlook what's happening. I want to make sure that we're not doing the wrong thing. And the wrong thing means sometimes even spending money the wrong way. This is not a year to be spending money the wrong way. So, keeping everybody in track and in line. And if sometimes they need to ask me questions, my kids, as which way to make the right decision for themselves, I will be there to answer that for them. So that's the biggest reason.
Over the years, especially over the last few years with social media, we've developed somewhat of a fan base, an audience that pays attention to what's going on at the market and in the farm and in the world. Is there anything you'd like to leave them with, any advice?
Yes, I would like to give some advice if they want to take it, whatever. But all I can say is, shop local, help your local farmer or grower, trust who you're working with and believe in what they're doing, because this job is a lot harder than people really know. People don't really know what happens in the fields. We're trying to give you some updates with all these videos we're doing, but I don't think you can really see what the actual hard physical work that not only we do, but also our workers are doing. And not only our local operation, but all local farmers. I mean, I believe any local business, but farmers is one of the biggest ones that need help, and especially this year, because guys, you know what? It's pretty nerve-wracking, hard, because we don't know if we're going to get all our helpers this year. We're planting with the people we have right now. We're getting our crops in. The biggest scare this year is, are we going to harvest? Are we going to be able to complete this year? Whether we make money or not, because the expenditures are higher than other years, because we're implementing extra people, we're doing extra jobs, we're buying masks, we're buying alcohol, we're buying everything for protect our people, and that's fine with me. But are we going to be able to help? Are we going to get the rest of our people? We need our workers to get these crops out. If we can plant all we want, if we can't harvest our crops, we probably won't be here in the following year. That's the big problem. That's the scary part as the owner of this company. And I'm assuming that all farmers have this in the back of their mind. Are we going to get our help to harvest our crops? These guys are important to us, guys. These are trained professionals, we call them, because you know what? It's not easy to bring in just people off the street and do this job. This is a tough job that these people have been trained here over the last 30 years to do. So I want to thank all our customers, people that support us again, and I want to thank people that appreciate local products. And you know what? I want to thank my people that work here also. I want to thank my family and my kids, my wife, and people that work for us, the office. They're great. This is a tough year.